Hi, how are you? Good morning, Baltimore. My name is Jennifer. I'm also known as HearHerHands on most places, and this is the HearHerHands Knitting Podcast. Welcome. How are you? So today we're going to do a little bit of a review on last podcast. Frog it, fix it, and finish it. Plans. Hi, buddy. You want to hang out? Come here. Come Hi. Come here. Hi, come here. Come up. Come here. Hi. Hi. Goodness, you're heavy, my dude. Okay, you down? Excuse me. You down? Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Okay, so now that we are all here, because apparently I forgot my co-host, and we're all settled, this is one of my 3 miniature schnauzers. I also live here in Baltimore City with 2 black cats, and my human partner, who is a tall white man. He's also deaf, like me. So, yeah. So, welcome to our little podcast. Welcome to our little buddy here. So, today we're going to start out talking about some of our frog it, fix it, finish it projects, right? So, this is my beach side mock cable cardigan that I am in the process of frogging. So, I have I'm working on removing my knitted separately and, okay, bye, and sewn on button band right now. And this button band is in, can you sit down please? 2x2 knit rib. And yeah, so I'm working on unsewing it, which is a little bit tedious. But I have, so far, I've undone both sleeves and both front side pieces. So we're on our way. I'm going to do a video with this later on that includes the rest of the frogging situation and also how I learned to wind it up or skein it up and then wash it so that it's no longer like crinkly stuff anymore and I can knit with it again. So that cardigan was knitted in patent classic wool worsted in the colors T-foam. And so I have 194 yards per, and I have 5 balls, 970 yards. So I don't have enough I was planning on making the Jenny jacket with that, but 970 yards is definitely not going to get me far enough. So I need to decide if I want to get more yarn or make something else. I guess we'll have to see how that goes. Hey, sit down, please. Down. Down. Good. Thank you. Okay. So, next, onto my longest project on the needles, I guess. So, my next project that I'm working on, I was gonna hopefully I'm not gonna finish it. Nope. There's no finishing this in February. We've got like 3 days left. So, this is my Ombre Cardigan by Tanis Fiber Arts. And I'm knitting this up in my very special yarn that I got from Neighborhood Fiber Co. with their Rhinebeck. So it was the Rhinebeck, the special Rhinebeck colorway that they dyed up for to donate the profits to North Carolina. So this is called Blue Ridge and Valley, and I am holding my Blue Ridge and Valley studio sock yarn with one strand of Lana Grossa Setasuri in the color 004. I believe this is Nougat. So here's my special yarn. Plus cat hair. And then this is the fairy. Yeah. So far for this cardigan, I have knit the back over the shoulders, and I have split for sleeves. So this is a raglan V-neck, and the V-neck has a right as you go button band in seed stitch. So as this. And then I'm going to introduce you to my friend, my dress form. So I've mentioned before that I'm a seamstress and a sewist, and sometimes I do garment making. Definitely not as often as I do garment knitting, but I have my so I have my dress form here. I'm gonna put my cardigan on it so you can see what she looks like a little better, because it kind of doesn't look like much in this format, does it? Hold on. Okay, so I have put my sweater. So this is my ombre cardigan, and I put her on my dress form. Who does not yet have any. So if you would like to give me some ideas for my dress form, I would love to hear them in the comments below. I don't know, maybe something with a D or something very Baltimore-esque. I don't know. I will have to think about it. I think maybe one of the characters from Hairspray. I won't be naming her Miss Baltimore Crab, though. So my ombre cardigan, I have already begun shaping for the buttonholes. I have one buttonhole, which is tiny. Like, honestly, I may need, like, I don't know, maybe like 3 buttons or something. It's a small buttonhole. But yeah, so let's talk about this cardigan, right? So I am knitting size 4, and as usual, so as generally, I am a very tight knitter, and generally it takes me about a half of the size up for a knitting needle size to get gauge. So I have gauge on this with a US size 8, which is 5mm needle, and my yarn is Studio Sock and a Surrey leaf, so that is a fingering and a mohair, which gets me to gauge. Yeah, this is coming along nicely. I really like it. it's a fun knit. Unfortunately, I have just hit the point where most of what I'm doing is stockinette. And it's not even stockinette in the round, it's stockinette back and forth. And generally, I don't mind purling, but yeah, it's just all of a sudden I ended up with a whole bunch of stockinette. So yeah, so that is my ombre cardigan. That is the thing that's been on my needle the longest. I believe I began knitting that one in January. So, you sit down, please. Okay. So, the next one I'm working on is my next oldest knit. I can't show you because it is a secret test. However, I can show you some of the yarn. So I am doing a colorwork yoke test knit. And this is my main color. My main yarn is Valley Superwash TK, and the color, I believe this is like steel gray. This is the body color. And then along with that, I am doing color work, and my color work is basically purple and blue. So I've got these different colors of purple. And I have this very, very pale purple. So these three, like purpley brown. So these are some of the color work. And it's not designed to be a like scrappy project, but I'm making a scrappy project. So the other color, other scrappy color I'm using is I've got this pale blue, and then I've got navy blue, and my background color is cream. So, oops, so these two. Yeah, so those are for my top secret colorwork project. And I have finished the colorwork yoke on that project, which means that right now I am in the middle of stockinette in the round. I'm doing stockinette on the body. And then I do a little bit more colorwork on the sleeves because we split like at a specific point, like lengthwise for the sleeves, and it didn't matter where you were in the colorwork, just with the sleeves. So that is my next longest project on the needle. And then my third longest project on the needles is not long at all. I think I started this a week ago. So I am doing a test knit, another one for Leslie. For Leslie of Knit California, and I am knitting the Palm Springs pink. So that is very an interesting point. Doesn't look like much. Oops. So yeah, it's black. There's our little pink. So we're at the point with the Palm Springs tank where a lot of the interesting part of the knitting is done for a while, and we're just doing more stockinette in the round. But initially, how this tank works up is you kind of start off with a square, and then you increase for the like under the arms part, and then you put that on hold, and you come up to one side, and you decrease and make a long narrow strap, and then increase, and then you put that on hold and do the other side and decrease and increase, and then you connect them together with like cable cast on or whatever, various kinds. There are different kinds of like cast on to go across the front. And so you make a rounded front piece, and then once those are connected, you knit the front. And so you knit like down the front for a certain amount of time, like for a certain length. And then once you've gotten to that length, join under the arms and start knitting the round. So that is where I am right now. And I am knitting the size extra small, which is a like 30 to 32 inch bust, which has, I believe it has like 2 to 6 inches of negative use. So this would fit me, but I am dubious that I would wear this. I'm not a like super tight, like skin tight tank top kind of girl. So if I don't like it, I do have a friend who's way smaller than I am, and definitely the type of person who would probably like this and be more likely to wear this. So that is my goal. Once I finish this, we'll see if it fits me the way I want it to, and if it doesn't, I have someone I know who would be a fantastic model for this. But it's a really fun knit, and I am finding it a very easy process so far. The past has been very smooth. I feel like all of the small little issues that might have come up were already ironed out before I even got very far. But it's really beautiful, and I am very excited to have this in my wardrobe. And also, I've already bought 2 more colors of yarn so that I can knit tank tops for me in a slightly bigger, looser size. Oh, this one as well. I believe this is not that one. Where's the ball band for that? No. Okay then. I don't know. I don't remember what I did with the ball band. That one is also a Valley Yarns, I believe. So it's not this one, but it is a Valley Yarns Superwash, and it's a fingering weight. I think it's merino and nylon, and it is in the color lemongrass. So yeah, you might be interested in seeing this up close. And it's a really cool color. I'm not sure if it's my color. It might be a little warm, but it's been super fun to knit with something interesting all of a sudden. And oh yes, so for the gauge for this one, so generally I am a very tight knitter, and usually I would have to go up at least a half a needle size to get gauge for any pattern. I don't think I have ever had the same gauge as the pattern designer. And so this one, I assumed that would be the case, and I went up a half needle size to knit my swatch, and it was too big. So turns out Leslie and I have a very similar knitting tension. So I am knitting this on the recommended needle size, which is a 3.5 millimeter needle, and it's some fingering, and it's honestly, initially I was a little scared because I've never knit anything in fingering besides socks, but it's going a lot quicker than I expected it to. So that is my next project. And then finally, for a last minute, what do you call it? I don't know, spur of the moment, sort of cast on, was I was knitting all my other projects and knitting away, and then I was knitting away, and I was like, all of a sudden my top secret one got in the round, and then my tank top got in the round, and I was like, everything I'm knitting is stockinette in the round. I didn't even have any interesting color work going anymore, and I was suddenly very annoyed. So I think this is pretty typical of knitters. A lot of us prefer to have like one simple stockinette in the round, like easygoing knit project that you don't have to focus on that much, and it's really fun, but also kind of, for lack of a better word, boring. And so I'm one of those knitters. I like to have stockinette for my, like, I do a lot of facilitations, I facilitate Zoom calls and meetings, and like I do a lot of organizing and being around, like dealing with people, right? So I organize my brain and deal with people by knitting. I need to have a boring little stockinette in the round project for that. However, like first thing in the morning or for like an hour at night where I'm just like winding down and knitting for fun, I like to have something that's a little more interesting than stockinette in the round. So I kind of randomly cast this on, and I'm gonna hold it up and yes, I'll give you 5 minutes. You go, or not 5 minutes. I mean, I'm gonna talk about this, and while I'm showing you talking about this, you can write in the comments below what you think it is. I'm gonna so I cast this on. We'll talk about it. So it's not that interesting as far as it's not cable, it's not lace, it's not color work. It's honestly the only interesting part about it really is like construction is interesting, and it's has a like knit as you go what's it called, I cord edging. So I was watching what what's really making, I believe, on here, and she was talking about her Sophie hood, I believe, that she knit in like craft yarn, and it was really beautiful. And it has been incredibly cold in Baltimore until like the minute I cast this on. It's been like 30 degrees and snowing and raining and freezing and cold and ugh. And I love snow. Don't get me wrong, but for some reason, I keep getting hats that are too small for my head, even though my head is a 21-inch measurement. And I think this is probably because I'm a very tight knitter, right? So I've knitted like 3 band hats in the last couple months, and none of them fit me. The only one I have that fits me is from my first ever cable attempt, and I knitted a cabled like headband style headband in an old small amount of Red Heart Super Saver in the color maroon. So it is a beautiful maroon headband that I like, but it is not enough and it does not keep my ears warm. So I'm trying to find one knit something that actually does the job. I figured, okay, well, I'm failing on this headband thing, and I don't like hats because they mess up my hair, and they don't they don't fit right depending on what I'm wearing, and they make my hearing aids whistle and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, I want to knit a hood. And when I saw what is Millie making project, I really liked that hood. And I did a lot of looking around because I've never knit anything by Petite knit, and I very much want to support smaller designers, and I want to do things that are interesting and innovative and fun. But I looked at all the different hood options out there, and this was the one that had kind of the style I wanted. For lack of a better word, I also like the Jose hood, or the one that aka Nora knit made in her like coral yarn. It was beautiful. That was the other one I was looking at, and I like that one a lot too. But I figured kind of between those two, and I had heard some iffy reviews from about the Jose hood, and I heard a lot of better reviews about the Petite hood style. So I joined the Sophie scarf shawl hood brigade, and I am knitting a Sophie hood. And this is an alpaca yarn. This is called Pullu worsted, and it is from Alpaca Warehouse. It's in the color. It's really like deep blue. Yeah, it's in the color like bright blue. So this is an alpaca worsted weight yarn, which may not quite be beige, but it's very soft. It's very squishy. So I have been knitting this when I am doing I need a break from knitting, stop not knitting. So this is the beginning of my Sophie hood. And my little schnauzer, what is it called? Stitch marker. So that little guy is on there to help me remember which side is the right side. So yeah, that's all I'm working on. So I have my beginning of the Sophie hood, which is fun. And for the most part, I am focusing on my two test knits, which is why this one, I mean, I've done some, but it hasn't gone very far some. And it's with the seed stitch button band, it's just enough, not contrast, it's just complicated enough that I can't quite knit this one while I'm on the call. So I think that's okay. I have plenty of plain old stockinette to keep me busy for a little while. So I am in the midst of 4 projects, and I am frogging one. So the frogging one, I'm about halfway there, and like I said, I'm working on a vlog that I'll put next week that will include the rest of that frogging and like winding it up to wash it and like stretch it out so it's straight, right? So that is all I have for yes. That is all I have so far for my works in progress. I have no finished objects, I believe, and I have one acquisition that I want to talk to you about, which is been right here the whole time. So my acquisition, actually got it a little while ago, but I put it right up in my bookshelf and probably forgot that I could probably tell you about it. So this is my acquisition. This is It's to Wear by Veronica Lindbergh. This is really fun. This is a beautiful pattern book. So it says Effortless Patterns by Kutovakika, and this is by Laine Publishing, I believe. It says Veronica Lindbergh is one of the most popular knitwear designers of our time. Her new book, Knits to Wear, Effortless Patterns by Kutovakika, is filled with 17 patterns destined to be cherished favorites, ranging from timeless basics to modern pieces featuring decorative details. This collection offers inspiration to help you create knits that reflect your style and bring you joy each time you wear them. So far, I've only knit the Salty Days sweater by Veronica Lindbergh, and the other Fix It Frog I Finish It I'm working on is the sleeves on that one, which really need a couple more inches. But for this, my only wish is that this book had, like, I don't know if it had a section for yarn weight, or like in the index it said it had like each pattern under yarn weight, so that I could do a better job of looking at patterns based on like how I wanted to use them. But I am thinking about possibly using, if I do not knit my stitch Jenny jacket with this yarn, I might knit, there's a cardigan in here that I might knit instead. Hold on while I find it. Oops. Okay. So I think if I don't do the Jenny jacket, I might do the limoncello cardigan. I might make that in my seafoam yarn. So it seems like it is a it says the sport DK with the lace weight, so I think I could get away with a worsted maybe. And it needs I could maybe do the small. So it is, you need approximately 1,050 yards for the small size, and I am not the type of person who does pockets on my cardigan, so if I did not do pocket, maybe I could get away with it. But I really like this because it's very interesting with lace and cables, and it's a V-neck, so, and it's like just slouchy enough to be cozy. I feel like this would be a good option for that yarn if I can't get the Jenny jacket to work for it. Yeah, so this is my only acquisition, which is To Wear by Kutovakika, and I'm very excited to actually use this book. I definitely also really want to make the, what is it called? The Playful Palette sweater, which is this one. Gorgeous. Oops. Alright. Sorry about that. My dog was looking out the window and he saw a dog across the way, so he was having a very nice conversation. Anyway, so that is all I have for you today. Yeah, let me know what you were working on today while you were watching. Are you quite ready to start knitting tank tops for the summer yet? Honestly, when I started casting that one on, I was like, what am I doing? But I totally understand, right? Like, you can't have a pattern come out in a timely fashion for the season unless you knit ahead of the season, right? So, are you knitting ahead of the season? Are you going to have a tank top ready for the summer by now? Like, soon? Or are you like me and you really wish you were just knitting a fluffy cardigan instead? So, thank you so much for hanging out and watching. I would love to hear what you worked on. I would love to hear which of these knits you thought was the most interesting. I would love to hear all your thoughts about Petite knit, or if you have another hood that you think is a good option, please send me all the links. I really think a nice fluffy warm hood is a good idea for me, especially since we are in the spring of our discussion. Like, it is so nice out, it is still sunny out, and it's probably gonna snow in a week, right? So, if you enjoyed this, please feel free to follow me, subscribe to see more videos. Maybe go check out my Instagram. My handle is linked here. It's the same as everywhere else. I go by HearHerHands on everything. And yeah, I would love to see you back here soon. I'm hoping to slowly get my stuff together and be more regular and post every Wednesday morning. So we'll see if I get with it or not, right? And yeah, so all that being said, thanks for watching. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.